We're told that Joe Biden's in the middle of a winning streak. Have you noticed that? I feel like when I see someone in the middle of a great run, we typically all sort of agree, wow, this has been going well. Yet I don't feel the difference. I still feel like there's a lot of failure and just terrible things going on, but I'm apparently not at all in agreement with the media. Now, you may have noticed when Biden has been doing poorly, there has been some coverage of that. The polls have been really bad. People have pointed it out. People have been disappointed by the presidency. Even the media has pointed this out from time to time. But here's the thing. We're getting really close to election time now. So we have to have a new narrative. We can't go into an election with Joe Biden as a bad president. We have to go into it with a new batch of Joe-mentum. Yes, he is on a big-time winning streak. If you don't believe me that the narrative has changed, let me give you just a couple of examples. Newsweek, Joe Biden just had the best week of his presidency. CNN, how Biden's big win in the Senate could change America and reshape his fortunes. New York Magazine, the Biden age is hitting its stride. I mean, we said we wanted them to talk about Biden's age, and then here we go. Biden's BFD comes from Axios. That, of course, stands for big effing deal. Financial Times, the unexpected triumph of Joe Biden. Unexpected and kind of unnoticed. I haven't really noticed it much. Wait, is Biden a better president than people thought, asks Politico. The answer to that is no. It's the same question and the same answer, at least, as the cancer question we covered a little bit earlier. Biden's remarkable summer from the New York Times. WAPO says, inside Biden's hot streak from the poolside to the Capitol. So now you got to picture Joe Biden by the pool. If that doesn't make you physically ill, I don't know what will. Biden suddenly is piling up wins. Can Dems make it stick? It's a pile of something. I don't know if it's a pile of wins, but it is a pile of something. Biden is on a roll that any president would relish. Is it a turning point? I'm sorry, is this a bit? Is this like a long comedy bit that the media decided to do? And just, what do you mean he's on a roll that any president would relish? He's got an approval rating in the 30s. And finally, this one just, I mean, you don't get any better than this. Did Democrats just save civilization? Real New York Times headline. The answer to that, by the way, same as the cancer answer. No, they did not. So I wanted to take a moment, at least, and examine this supposed winning streak, because I think I've missed some of the wins, frankly. I'm trying to understand what the wins are and how we're supposed to process them, because I will say I don't get it so far. Let's start with Biden's win, the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Now, this is being presented as a win for Joe Biden. It doesn't feel like a win for Joe Biden. And after all, he knew nothing about it in advance. You have to understand, total shock to him. Total surprise in every way. He never would have seen this coming. Certainly the guy that he was closely aligned with when he tried to name him as the Supreme Court nominee, and then later on named him to another high-profile cabinet-level role, that guy just didn't mention it. I just forgot that he was, we're raiding the former president's house, your likely opponent. I should have mentioned it before. Sorry about that. He had no idea. Here is, by the way, Merrick Garland talking about the reasons for that warrant to do the raid in Mar-a-Lago.
The department filed the motion to make public the warrant and receipt in light of the former president's public confirmation of the search, the surrounding circumstances, and the substantial public interest in this matter.
This guy's electric. We're going to get into this a little bit more with Joy Pullman here in a couple of minutes. How about the win for Joe Biden? He didn't die from COVID twice. So he got COVID twice, and he lived through it. So that's a win. Winning streak maintained. How about Biden's win? The gas prices are down. Yes, they're down from record highs. A huge win. Now, none of the up was his fault, but all of the down is apparently his doing. And I thought we'd look into this a little bit more, because Karine Jean-Pierre was standing out in front of the podium with her fancy sign. It says gas prices are down 86 cents. And you see this little piece of a graph with a down sloping line. What a wonderful story to tell. Now, there's a couple things wrong with this particular chart. First of all, it doesn't address the reason why prices are down. And the reason's a bit disturbing, frankly. Demand is down. Now, why would demand be down? You'd think if the economy is roaring, demand would be up. But no, demand for gas is down in the middle of the summer travel season. For many people, the first time they've been able to do anything since COVID started. And the demand is so low, it's actually below the COVID year. I mean, like 2020. We are now below the demand for gasoline of August 2020. I don't know if that just tells us we are in real trouble with the economy and it hasn't hit us yet, or it's just some weird quirk. Maybe people got to travel for the first time post-COVID and realized they didn't like it, so they're just staying home. I don't know. Maybe they all bought electric cars. Who knows? But man, that's a weird thing that demand would be lower. And I will point out, here's the, they showed you that little tiny slice of the graph with the sloping down line as if this was the only part of the gas price story that Joe Biden had been a part of. We got lots of charts for you today. Chartapalooza, Conservanerds unite. Here's the chart of the last couple of years of gas prices. And, you kind of see a recent decline, but that follows multiple years of nonstop increase. And I've annotated this for you so you could see. You see where Biden gets elected and where he gets sworn in. The green line sort of at the bottom there shows what the gas prices were when he was sworn in, and they're pretty low, like $2.30 something a gallon. Then the whole Russian invasion thing, which they blamed on all the rises, you see there, that was $3.55. We're still above $3.85. So yes, they've come down a little bit, and you see that little rectangle there on the side of the chart. That's the only part of this chart that Karine Jean-Pierre decided to show you, to tell you how completely disingenuous this administration is. All right, let's keep going through this incredible win streak. Biden got one sock on this morning all by himself. That's not confirmed, but we're hearing reports of that. When we get that confirmed, we'll tell you. We know he can't get more than one sleeve of his jacket on by himself, but we'll get into that maybe later. The assassination or killing of Ayman al-Zawahiri. Now, this one I think is a legitimate win for the country. Did I give Donald Trump credit for killing Soleimani? Did I give Barack Obama credit for killing Osama bin Laden? I mean, they have a role in it. They're the commanders-in-chief of the military at the time it happens. Obviously, this is really a military win, but we'll give it to them. I think that's a good thing for the country, and I'm excited it happened. Unlike the left, so when Soleimani was killed, they said it was like the worst thing ever. It was going to cause a nuclear war, and that the president was erratic and reckless. I'm not going to say that about Zawahiri dying because I think it's a good thing. I think it was a win here. I don't know if it's a Biden win, but it's a win. How about this one? Biden was only slightly racist to a Dunkin' Donuts employee. And I saw that in a tweet. Don't know if it's true. Usually he's really racist to them, but this time only somewhat racist, if that report can be believed. He signed the CHIPS and Science Act, another big win for Joe Biden. Is it a win, though? Is it a win when you're in the middle of a giant inflationary period to spend another $280 billion on something that most likely isn't going to work? Let's be honest about it. Now, of course, this wasn't just Biden. This was the Republicans, too. They deserve just as much of the blame for this one. There's some argument to be made, obviously, when it comes to domestic manufacturing of important components. Actually, what you really want is a diversified. You don't want them all here in America, too. We screw up stuff, too. You kind of want it spread out sort of around the world so you have different sources, generally speaking, in friendly countries. This is an idea to kind of like dump a bunch of money into this so it can happen here. The chips will be more expensive. You're going to pay for them multiple times. But there could be, at least for national security concerns, some reason here. But again, this is all money we don't have. We don't have $280 billion, and we keep spending money as if we don't understand that we're in a giant inflationary period. Biden has not fallen off his bike in several weeks in front of cameras. Now, he may have done that privately. We don't know. But the last time he fell off his bike, we saw it, and it was pretty ugly. And I will maintain, go back and watch that footage after the show's over. Go back and watch that footage. It's not the fall. that is concerning. The fact that he doesn't seem to want to put his arms down. It happens in slow motion. He just goes all the way to the ground with almost no movement. That's the part of that video that creeps me out. How about he signed the PACT Act, or also known as the Jon Stewart is currently the President of the United States Act. This, of course, was something that was absolutely going to get signed no matter what. This money was going to go to the veterans. This is the Burn Pits bill. It was going to happen anyway, but instead, Jon Stewart went on social media, and then everyone gave Jon Stewart credit. Is this a win for Joe Biden? I don't know. Again, this was overwhelmingly voted for by both parties. They created a false controversy as if Republicans were really opposing it when they 100% knew they weren't, but I guess that's a media win in some way, certainly not a legitimate win. Biden also resisted sniffing anyone under the age of 18 and their hair. Now, 19-year-old, 20-year-olds, he's all over it, okay? He's got the hair deep into the nostrils, deep into the nasal cavity. He's got a ponytail up through the nasal cavity with so much sniffing, but they were like 19 or 20, so that's a win for Joe Biden. Inflation is down, all the way down to 8.5%. Now, Biden tried to make this case that it was 0%. This, of course, is a ridiculously disingenuous thing to say. We went through this exact claim in detail yesterday. Go back and watch yesterday's show if you'd like to see. But this is the basic 0% inflation story in action. The average thing you bought in July 2020, if it cost $100, in July 2021, it cost $105.40, and in July 22, it cost $114.36. Does that seem like 0% inflation to you? Certainly doesn't to me. There's also the Inflation Reduction Act, and it's amazing with that story being told, you'd think, well, maybe we should pass an Inflation Reduction Act. But that's not what this was, of course. This was a giant climate spending bill and some healthcare spending bill that's going to cost us $740 billion. And look, I know what the paperwork says. It says that it's going to increase inflation for multiple years. And then on the other side of 3 or 4 years, it's going to start slightly decreasing inflation eventually in the future after this inflationary period should long be over. But I got news for you. Even that's not true. That's not going to happen. We'll join back together in 3 or 4 years, and I will tell you how it didn't happen. But for now, we're supposed to act like that's real. But the bigger thing here with this particular win, this is we got Manchin to come vote for our bill. Manchin's in your party. Okay, that's supposed to be the easy part. You got 2 Democrats that were in your own party to vote for your crappy bill. That's not exactly a win. Secondarily, when you pass a giant bill, the win is told if the policy works. The win is not passing the bill, because the bill could be good or it could be bad. Obviously, Republicans are saying it's going to be bad, and Democrats are saying that it's going to be good. We don't know if this is going to be good or bad yet, so it's not a win. It's not a win to pass a bill when you don't know what the results of it are. And to remind you of this, we also got the story that his big win was the $1.9 trillion infrastructure, the $1.1 trillion infrastructure bill, the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. Both of these bills were praised also as wins. The one I want to focus on is the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill, because that one, we were told, was his big win. He got it through. It was his big legislative priority. Again, he did it with 50 Democrats. But here's what we found out at the end of that. It caused all the inflation, or at least a good chunk of the inflation, that we're feeling now. So was that bill a win? Usually you have to wait 5 or 6 years to know if a bill works or not. This one, we know, has destroyed the economy almost immediately. So was that a win when they got that through? I certainly didn't think it was a win. Did you think it was a win? You might have thought it was a win to get through a bill where you get to spend $1.9 trillion, but when it leads to destructive inflation that is destroying the budgets of families all across the country, you don't get to count that as a win, and you can't count on any of his other spending as a win either. Does the bill work? That's when you find out if the bill is a win or not. And finally, Joe Biden seemed to have a real connection with one of Hunter's prostitutes. And that, if you don't count that as a win, I mean, because I will say, the way she was looking at him, I don't even think it was about the money. I think it was a real connection. I think it was deep. And he's going on vacation. I hope he enjoys himself and comes back with as few STDs as humanly possible.